Welcome back to Gale Bears Repairs. Today we're just going to tackle the front lower arms, the wishbones, on this 2006 Ford Ka or Ford Ka. Should be a relatively easy task, not too many components to this. I think it's only about 3 bolts to do them. Should be easy enough with basic hand tools. If you found it informative and useful today, could you remember to like, subscribe and share? It'll be a great help for the channel. Right, let's get on with it. So we're going to replace the wishbone. Here's the replacement part. Quite a basic task, but it can be a bit of a pig to wiggle out. So you've got a burst there, a burst there. They're the inbound ones. And a bolt just passes through there and gets done up. And then here, you've got the ball joint. And there's a bolt passes through there that retains it. I'll show you that in a minute. So that's our new arm. And the old arm, this is where it lives. It lives here. So it's that component there. There's my torn burst. That one's torn, that's why we're replacing this arm. And this one in here is actually coming out of the, let's have a look. There, he's actually coming out. He's actually coming right out of the arm itself. And then we've got the ball joint there. I'll take you in for a better look. So we're coming for a look at how that one's attached. So this one, you peel this cover back and there's the head of the nut and the bolt passing up through. So we need a spanner on there, and then I'll take you down below and show you what's underneath. So here's the underside of that bush, and there's the bolt that passes through. So we've got to get a socket on there and then a spanner up the top on the nut on the other side. And we come forward on the car, and there's the other half of there's the other bush. So it's that setup there, like it's just a nut and a bolt passing through the bush. So we just got to get a spanner up there and a ratchet on there or something. And then out on the outside, there's I think it's a T50 Torx through there. And it's just a pinch bolt. So that's all it does. So we've got to get a spanner on that nut there, or a socket, and then a T50 in there. And you can see it just pinches up that gap. It just pinches that gap tight there on the pin. And that bolt passes through the recess on the pin. I'll show you that when it's all out and we've got the new arm. I'll be able to show you a bit more clearly. Right, let's start undoing. So we'll put our spanner on the top on that one. 18mm. So we'll just pop him on the nut. There's the nut in there. And then the bolt underneath is a 15mm bolt. So we'll just crack him off and spin him out. Yeah. So we've just spun off the nut. There he is. I'm just going to leave the bolt in there for a minute. I'll show you why. We'll go around underneath in a minute and we'll get him out. So we've just done that rear bush, undone that one, basic nut and bolt. Same on the front here, 18mm and a 15 under here. So we'll just undo this. So now we're going to swap to in here and we're going to undo that pinch bolt. Undo that one there. Right, so the next one is that pinch bolt. T50 Torx on there. Get that one in. And then it is a 17mm socket on the back. So it's a 17mm nut head size. So we'll just undo that. There's the nut. Then we'll give this a spin. Oh, yeah, he's quite free. These can be a pain to get out. So he does look quite free. So I'll just give him a tap. Just put the nut back on, so that when you give it a tap with a hammer, you're not damaging the thread. So I'll just give him a tap with the hammer. There he comes. Now you can take the nut off, so we're not worried about the threads now. Then we'll just get a pry bar in there. I've got an old bent screwdriver here. And we'll pop him out. It's actually come out really well. So this is just a pinch bolt. Right, so that's removed. We can now get a screwdriver in here, or a pry bar or something. I'm not reusing these arms, they're being replaced, so I don't have to worry about this rubber bush here. So I can just go between there and give him a prise. Just prise down. It may come off, it may not. These can be stuck in sometimes. No, you don't want to come yet. So I'll take you around to the other ones and I'll show you how to get the bolts out. So we'll now get that remaining bolt. But that bush, because the suspension's down, because the suspension's now not got the weight of the car on it and it's down like that, you can see it's really stressing them bushes. So it's tilted. So I'm going to jack up under the brake disc, and that should relieve the tension on the bolts. We'll see how that goes. So I've got a trolley jack just under the disc there. So I'm just going to jack him up, and it should relieve the tension on those bushes to make it easier to get the bolts out. Right, so as I jack up the disc here, and this is going to push the whole assembly up, focus your eyes on there, and this arm should come up. Should pivot on it. So I'll start jacking. There we go. So that's now got the arm up. I lifted the car very slightly, so be aware that you may you want to stop when the car is just starting to lift off the jacks. So now I should be able to get them bolts out quite easily. Right, so we got the nut off. Now this suspension arm is up. It's more in line with the bush, so we should stand a chance of getting this bolt out easily, because you'll struggle, else you won't get it out very well. Just use open-ended spanner if you can get in there on the head of the bolt, and just wiggle him down. There he goes. Look, he's coming down. Maybe my screwdriver. There. So that's how we get that down. There he goes. You can hear him coming down through the threads. So there we go. So we just carry on getting that all the way out. When it pops out, I may have to release the tension off the jack now, because it's pulling it over. So we'll release the tension off the jack a bit, and we should be able to wiggle it out. See if I can do that. I'll try the inner one as well while I'm here. So just at the back. Yeah, so he's coming down as well. So the rear one's nearly fully out. I'll get my hammer. Let me hit your spanner. And there we go. So that's the rear bolt. The rear one from the bush. This front one, if I grab, can't see, but if I go out and grab the disc and pull it inwards, pull it in, there we go. So he's come off. So now we'll separate that pin. Right, I find it's quite difficult to film with the lighting, so bring me light in. So that bush has come away now, you heard it all clank out the way. So that just leaves us this one. Maybe a bit unsteady this here, so I'm going to pull this arm, slide him out, so he's loose now. So now that we've got the arm released, and we can move this arm, we can now stand a better chance of getting this out. So we'll go on there, we'll give him a prise. Yeah, he doesn't want to come out, so we may have to split this. So if I just get my screwdriver in there, or you can use a chisel or something, get my hammer, and we'll just part him. And then we'll see if that helps. If that helps to drop in, because it's a pinch bolt, so it is actually pinching this cast together. I'm not sure what the quality of your picture's like there. So we just part him that, and he's starting to come. There he goes. So just by parting that section, it was doing its job. It was pinching. So we just need to unpinch it. Don't know if unpinch is a word, but we just splayed it. We just opened that up to release it off of the shaft there. Right, so I'll show you how that works now. So we had the Torx bit, the T50 Torx, and it went into that thing, and then it clamped it. So it's clamping around this pin here. So this shows you what it's doing. So the hub comes down over here, and then we got that T50 bolt. So when you're putting it in, it goes in there, and when you clamp this bolt up, it's actually going, the bolt's passing through this recess. So it gives it a mechanical key. So if you haven't got this fully up in the hub, when you're trying to fit it, this bolt won't go through, because it'll be hitting, if it's not fully in, it'll be hitting here. So you'll be banging the end of the bolt into there. So it's got to be fully home in order for the bolt to pass through there. And this is a secondary safety system. So you've got the bolt, the pinch bolt is clamped tight. So that's a mechanical key on there. But then you've also got this bolt that slides through there. So that's your secondary safety, so it doesn't pop out. Right, I hope that's clearer. So if you look at this job, effectively, it's 3 bolts. There's a nutting bolt there, a nutting bolt there, and a nutting bolt there. But it's not that simple when you're pulling all the suspension leg out to get access. I forgot to say, when we're refitting these bolts, we're going to put a bit of grease, a bit of copper slip around the plain portion of the bolt, not the threaded portion, because we need that to lock. We need that to lock in place with the nylock nut. So we don't want any grease on the threads themselves, just on these plain portions. This will make it easier for the next person getting them out, removing them, doing this job in the future. All right, next job, to turn the steering on faux lock. So by turning that on faux lock, that should give us a bit more access to get this arm in now. So we've got the arm, and there's the ball joint. So he sits up there like that. So we catch this rear one in first, get him in, catch him in, and then we'll pass the bolt up through. And then we've got the bolt up, we'll now catch the nut on the top. So that one's caught there now. So he's caught. We've got the nut just caught on the top. So now we're going to swing this arm around. Just going to swing the arm around and catch this one. We may have to pull the hub in and out to allow this ball joint to pass underneath. So we'll try that now. Right, so we've caught that rear one. We now pivot this arm in, spin it on it, and we should be able to catch this one. I'm going to have to push the hub out. Swing out the hub because it's in the way. Right, I've been looking back at the footage, doing some editing, and I realised that I've lost some footage. I've lost where a drive shaft popped out when I was doing the suspension arm. So I'll just show you what it is. It's up there. So there's the drive shaft, and he popped out. So the drive shaft popped out of the joint there. So the joint stayed. The joint stayed in the gearbox, but the drive shaft popped out, and it just, all I had to do was poke it in, give it a wiggle, poke it back in to the alignment, and then just retighten the Jubilee clip on the boot there. So that footage is missing, but it's all back together now, so I'm not willing to take it out to show you. Okay, there we go. Let's get back on with it. In order to pop in that one, so we can now get our bolt up through. There we go. Give the arm a wiggle. There we go. I just felt him notch in then. Give him a little tap. There we go. So now we can catch that nut on. So now the nut and the bolt is caught, we'll concentrate on getting this arm in the underside of the hub. So the arm's in. We've just got this one here to do. I'm just going to put a small amount of grease around there. And what that's going to do, that's going to help the next person. That's going to help the next person who's got to get this off. So I've got the bolt. I'll put him in the clamp just a little bit, just there ready. So now we've got to bend this arm down, bend him down on the bushes, and push the strut in. So I don't know if I'm in your way there. So we push him down, push the arm down, and then push the hub assembly in to get that pin, in the hole. There he goes. He's dropped a bit, and we'll give him a little force around. There we go. We'll get him in line, and he should pop in. There we go. So you've got to manhandle this. You've got to force this. And then just to make sure it's home, give us a gentle tap. You see that move up there? Nice and gentle, nothing too massive. We don't want to damage the ball joint. So then we've got our bolt. He should now, if he's in the correct place, this is where he slides through that little scalloped out section of the pin. Yeah, so he's coming through nicely, look. So there he is. And then all we do is catch the nut on. So our next job, tighten up that one, tighten up the two inner ones, get the wheel back on. We're about there. Right, the first one I'm going to do up, in there, get on the nut. That's an 18mm. Get on the underside with a 15mm. And we'll just do these up. These got to be done up nice and tight. There we go, he's nice and tight. So I'll now move to the front one, the front brush down there. So the same again, on there, up on the nut on the top, and then we'll wind up the bolt through the bottom. He's clamped up nice. So now it's just the pinch bolt out by the drive shaft, out by the brake disc. Right, we'll just do up that pinch bolt now. Got our T50 on there. And our 17 on the other side. We'll clamp him up. This has got to be done nice and tight as well. There we go, he's creamed up. So we ain't going to have that falling out. All went well renewing the wishbones or the lower arms on this 2006 Ford KA. Effectively 3 nuts and bolts, nothing too special. I had that issue where the drive shaft popped out. Unfortunate, I've realised that the footage didn't come out, so I'll have to do a little cut in on that. But effectively all that happened is the drive shaft popped out, popped the CV boot off, just slid it back on and done up the clip again. So no problem there. If you found this useful, this video, and informative, could you please like, subscribe and share. And I'll see you next time.